After enduring for 3 years, I divorced my husband in public on the day he took a concubine. The whole capital is laughing at me for going crazy. If you dare to divorce your husband, you'll be drowned in the pond. My scum dad and stepmother forced me to kneel and admit my mistake, when a female general drew her sword to protect me. Who dares touch her? Faced with her own biological father, who not only wouldn't help her but also wanted to drown her in a pond to uphold the family's honor, she gave him a backhanded slap, directly severing their father-and-daughter relationship. First, there is a scumbag husband who wants to take a wife of equal standing, then a scumbag dad who aids the wicked. Luckily, she has a general for a bestie, one who is willing to trade her glorious military achievements for her to have a smooth and sailing life. Hola, what do you think of our story? Your support is my motivation to keep updating. Feel free to click on the homepage to see more of the full story. Please make sure you're in a comfortable position. We'll begin the main story shortly. Leave a comment below and tell us which city you read our story in. Shen Qingguan didn't know that the female general her husband wanted to elevate to a wife of equal standing was, unexpectedly, her best friend from the distant borderlands. Faced with my questioning, he just impatiently gave me a push. She is not like a dull and uninteresting woman like you. What are you fussing over again? But if Yun Qing found out, she would definitely beat him to death. Right at that moment, someone caught me steadily. Turning back, a heroic Zan-looking woman in military attire and armor raised an eyebrow at me. Shen Qingguan, is this the piece of trash you married? Hearing this familiar voice, I instinctively turned my head. Seeing that bright and lovely face, I exclaimed in pleasant surprise, Yun Qing. Han Yun Qing, the daughter of the general who pacifies the north, was my close friend from childhood. Later, she followed her father to the distant borderlands. We often exchanged letters during that time, and our bond never faded. Not long ago, she wrote me a letter. Shen Qingguan, I'm back. I came back along the same route as that good Zan for Zan nothing you married. Trash was Yun Qing's nickname for Shen Jili. After finding out that I was married, and to the eldest legitimate son and grandson of the Shen family no less, she only asked me one question: did you willingly marry him? It seemed that if I just said the word no, she would immediately come back from the frontier and cut him down for me. Just like when we were young, I was always bullied by my stepmother's son. And she picked up a rock and smashed it on that bastard's leg, shouting fiercely, Shen Qingguan is under my, Han Yun Qing's, protection. What the hell do you think you are? Daring to bully her. If there is a next time, believe it or not, I'll smash your head in. A general's fierce daughter never makes empty promises. My stepbrother was grimacing in pain, wailing to the high heavens. Too bad for them, Yun Qing wasn't me. My stepmother wouldn't dare offend the daughter of the general who pacifies the north, and an only daughter at that. Since then, I was never bullied again. Even during her final farewell to me when she left Jinling, she said, after I'm gone, don't be a wimp. If anyone bullies you, just write me a letter. Don't think that Jinling is 108,000 li away from the borderlands, but I have plenty of ways to kill him. Who would have thought? After so many years she would still have this same temperament. I looked at the words on the paper, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. She doesn't know, she hasn't changed. My mother passed away early, and I was just a girl of the house, making a living under my stepmother. How could matters of marriage be something I can decide based on whether I'm willing or not? Let alone all the complications involved. If I really replied to her with unwilling, and a scene was made, it would instead end up implicating her. So I just wiped the corners of my eyes, ground the ink and licked the brush under the candlelight, and wrote down word by word. Yun Qing, I'm doing this willingly. No matter how grand the Shen family's estate is, it can't be harder to live in than the Shen residence. So it doesn't seem so bad to marry over. How could this not be considered my own free will? After this letter was sent out, I didn't receive a reply for a long time. It wasn't until my wedding day that a servant from the Han family in Jinling City came rushing over, handing me a letter and a jade tablet of excellent quality. That servant looked at me holding the jade tablet, their expression strange, hesitating to speak. and just said, "This is the young lady's wedding gift for Miss Shen." The young lady said war has broken out again at the border, with tens of thousands of people. So she couldn't get away to come to Jinling to see you off for your wedding. Yunqing and I aren't particular about these things, and I don't mind at all. I glanced at the jade tablet, then picked up the letter and opened it. But on it were only a few words in a flamboyant scrawl, every single stroke expressing the contempt of the person far away at the borderlands for this. A fresh flower stuck in a pile of cow dung. I was so amused. I laughed through my tears, and the anxiety about my upcoming marriage eased a lot. I knew she was speaking up for me, but she had also guessed some things wrong. Because 3 years ago, Shen Jili didn't even enter the door of the bridal chamber and just left directly, leaving me with a warning. "You are not the wife I wish to marry, but since you have already married in, you are to serve my parents, be filial to the elders, and do what you are supposed to do." I know, Shen Jili doesn't like me, his original wife. But alas, as the eldest legitimate son and grandson of a great aristocratic family, his likes and dislikes aren't very important. He is free to take in concubines and personal maids. But the candidate for his primary wife must be a lady from an aristocratic family carefully selected by his parents. A well-bred young lady who is his family's social equal. And I am the one who was chosen. The eldest legitimate daughter of the Minister of Revenue, Shen Xingja, with a mother from the Wang clan of Longxi. I was indeed the best candidate. In this past year, I did my best to fulfill my duties as a daughter Zan-in-Zan-law, being filial to the elders and respecting my parents' Zan-in-Zan-law. Even when Shen Jili stayed in the study every night, I showed no complaint, and the ginseng soup and snacks I was supposed to send were never missed. Just like a qualified wife, attentive to every detail. Everyone said the Shen family had married a good daughter Zan-in-Zan-law, and my mother Zan-in-Zan-law was also very satisfied, exclaiming that she had made the right choice back then. But Shen Jili was not satisfied. What is so good about her? She is just a wooden puppet who is conventional and rigid, that is all. The woman he wanted to marry in his heart should be different from the rest, able to recite poems and match couplets with him, and confide in each other. Upon hearing this, I silently hid the book in my hand under the table, looked up, and curled the corners of my mouth slightly. Everything my husband says is right. But he became unhappy again, looking at me in frustration. "You're completely unmoved, even when people say such things, Shen Qingwan. Do you have any temper at all?" His words hit me hard, leaving me staring at him blankly. He got even angrier and shouted at me, "Don't you bring me ginseng soup tonight." With that, he turned and left, leaving me utterly baffled. Instead, the personal maid assigned to me by my mother Zan-in-Zan-law covered her mouth and chuckled. "Young mistress, for this past year you have been without complaint or regret toward the young master, so considerate and meticulous. What with the ginseng soup and speaking up for him, we've all seen it. The young master is just a bit willful, but he is not a stone that can't be warmed up. Although he hasn't realized it himself. In his words and between the lines, he has already placed you in his heart." She congratulated me. "Congratulations, young madam. Your wish is about to come true. A precious grandson that the master and madam have been hoping for is probably not far off now." She congratulated me, but I was so scared that I dropped the book in my hands. I would have never imagined. Shen Jili actually has such a fetish. He clearly hates it the most when women are clingy and pester him. How is it that after all that clinging, he started liking it? I was so scared that I stuffed 2 beautiful maids into Shen Jili's study that very night, both of whom I had bought out from the Chunfeng brothel. Being a concubine in a noble house is, after all, better than being a prostitute. So naturally, the 2 of them were endlessly grateful to me, and also full of drive, wanting to seize this opportunity. After all, if they could win Shen Jili's favor, their status would rise by several levels, and they wouldn't have to worry about glory and riches in the future. I was very satisfied with this, watched them enter Shen Jili's study, and went back to write a letter to Yunqing with peace of mind. She said that winter had arrived, and the battles at the border had become a bit more brutal. I was worried she would get hurt, so along with the letter I sent, I also included a bottle of the finest healing medicine my mother left for me. But unexpectedly, just after the letter and medicinal herbs were sent out, Shen Jili had already furiously pushed open my door, the lipstick marks on his face still there, his clothes in disarray, gritting his teeth. Shen Qingguan. Behind him, the two maids who had followed him over paused when they saw me, a difficult expression flashing across their faces. I looked at this scene in astonishment, while Shen Jili stared at me deadly. They said you ordered them to come in. I was still that good daughter Zanin Zanla of the Shen family. Shen Jili's most virtuous first wife. I have been married into the Shen family for over a year, but have failed to bear an heir for you, my husband. And there is already gossip about this, naturally. Wanning dare not keep you to myself any longer, so I found these two younger sisters. What? Is my husband not satisfied? You? He stared with wide, angry eyes. What is there to criticize? Who would dare to criticize? It is obviously you who resents that this young master hasn't touched you all year. So you found two cheap, painted women to humiliate this young master Shen Qingguan. You're really something. He threw a huge temper tantrum, fully displaying the clear distinction between gratitude and grudges of the eldest young master of the Shen family. Even the people in the residence were quite surprised. The personal maid my mother Zanin Zanla gave me, Nan Nan said. The young master hasn't thrown such a big tantrum in a long time. Anyone could tell that Shen Jili was truly angry, and the person who angered him was me. This relationship, which had seemed to be on the verge of improving, plunged to a freezing point once again. The two maids I had assigned were quite guilty. It is all our fault. It is one thing that we failed to win the young master's favor, but we even implicated the young mistress. I looked at the room, with things smashed all over the floor, let out a sigh of relief, and the corners of my mouth curved into a barely perceptible arc. Oh well, I don't blame you. In any case, all paths lead to the same destination, and I can once again be the young mistress of the Shen family in peace. What was even more delightful was, this time there wasn't even a chance for reconciliation, because on the second day, Shen Jili received orders to go on a military expedition to the border, and his return date was undecided. On the day he left, I still acted as if nothing had happened, preparing many clothes and food items for him. He, however, was just like he was a year ago, and didn't even look me straight in the eye. My mother Zanin Zanla and father Zanin Zanla saw this and sighed, disappointed in my inability to improve. You. How could you be so foolish as to stuff a person into his room? It is obvious to anyone with eyes that over this past year, he has also been. This young master has never had any other intentions towards her, so father and mother should stop talking nonsense. Shen Jili coldly walked past me, interrupting my Zanla's words, went straight to his horse, and looked down from his high perch. I played dumb, as if I understood nothing. The army began to depart. As they passed the crowd seeing them off, they happened to hear the mocking laughter of a few sisters Zanin Zanla ring out. So much for being a daughter of the Shen family, of the bloodline of the Wang clan of Longxi. She doesn't look like much after all. It has been a year, and even her own husband won't touch her. Well, great. Now that brother Shen has gone to the borderlands, who knows when he'll be back? Isn't she basically a widow with a living husband? This power to manage the household. Let's see what face she has left to hold on to it. They already looked down on me, and now they spoke with even more abandon. Shen Jili's figure stiffened, and he looked in disbelief at those few younger sisters and sisters Zanin Zanla who had always been so kind and gentle to him. Then suddenly turned his head back. I was still standing there, and I gave a faint smile. I didn't lie. The gossip is real, it has always been real, and it is even much nastier than he imagined. And these are the words I have been hearing for a year since I married into the Shen family. Shen, a flash of regret crossed his eyes, and he subconsciously wanted to speak. He wanted to apologize to me. Last night he was fuming, his temper got a little out of hand, and he wrongly blamed me. But I just turned around and walked into the house, not sure if I heard him or not, and he had already mounted his horse, riding off with the army. There was absolutely no reason for him to turn back. We'll talk when I get back, he thought. However, Shen Qingquan was so magnanimous and virtuous, and over this past year he could feel that she loved him to the bone. Similarly, over this past year, being meticulously cared for by Shen Qingwan, he couldn't help but feel a little moved. Even though this woman wasn't the unconventional, bright, and unrestrained woman he had imagined. But if he really couldn't help himself and had to choose a conventional and well-behaved woman to spend the rest of his life with, and if that woman was Shen Qingwan, then he was willing. So, he'll just wait until he gets back. Then he'll apologize to her properly, and they can just live a good life together. Anyway, there is no way Shen Qingwan wouldn't forgive him. This past year he gave her the cold shoulder so much, ignored her, let her be mocked and ridiculed like that by those sisters Danin's-in-law. And she didn't blame him, did she? Thinking this, his mind was also set at ease, and Shen Jili was gone for 2 years. During this time, the Shen family also occasionally received letters from Shen Jili, in which he greeted the elders, worried about my parents' Danin's-in-law, and also encouraged the younger generation. Only he rarely mentioned me. The one time, the letter he wrote exclusively for me, was also just a few words. While I'm out fighting, as my legal wife, you should naturally manage the household affairs, and be filial to my parents. As for the sisters Danin's-in-law at home, he paused. They are the younger generation, and don't know any better after all. If they say anything, you just bear with them a little. Just wait until I return, and I will stand up for you. Mo Wei, still with a hint of arrogance. Shen Qingquan, when I get back, I have something to tell you. You absolutely must wait for me. His words were both a slap and a sweet date, which was laughable. He took it for granted that becoming the matriarch of this Shen family was the greatest honor, so of course I should just put up with everything else. But I only married into this family to live a better life. I've done my part and received my due reward. What does it have to do with whether he likes me or protects me? For a great aristocratic family, marrying or divorcing a wife is not his decision alone. And as for his sisters and sisters Danin's-in-law, who could they even threaten? They thought I was a new bride, who had been living like a widow for 3 years without even consummating the marriage with my husband. And they looked down on me plenty. While chatting and laughing, they would cover their mouths with their handkerchiefs and exclude me. Does she really think she is all that, daring to put on airs in front of us? She should take a look at herself. It has already been 3 years and she hasn't even laid a single egg. I don't know if I've laid one or not, but I do know I can use this power of managing the household to let them know what real torment is. First, their monthly allowance was docked. Then the servants were sold off, and finally even most of their money for cosmetics and clothes was docked. The few of them were both angry and annoyed, and all went crying to their mother Danin's-in-law. But they should take a look. If they're clueless, could my mother Danin's-in-law be clueless too? All these years I've handled things properly, and I haven't caused a scene and aired our dirty laundry because of her son's cold treatment. So why wouldn't she just quit while she is ahead? Therefore, regarding their tearful complaints, she just turned a blind eye. Shen Jili's younger sister was the most indignant. After making a scene, as she was leaving, she said to me viciously, "You just wait, when my elder brother gets back, I'll make sure you get what is coming to you." I didn't care at all. Even her elder brother's letter, I only glanced at it casually, then burned the paper over a candle flame, and immediately opened another letter, full of anticipation. Yun Qing said she has been training a hawk these days. Once it is trained, when she comes back, she'll tie a string to the hawk's leg and let me fly it like a kite. I wonder how the training is going now. As for Shen Jili, what did he say? Something about waiting for him. I shook my head. I don't remember. On the contrary, Shen Jili's younger sister remembered very clearly. Because when the news of Shen Jili's return arrived, she was the first one to come running excitedly into my courtyard, holding a letter and laughing wantonly. "Shen Qingquan, you're finished. You must be curious why my elder brother hasn't written to you for so long, right? Has it been long? I don't feel like it." She didn't expect me to answer like that, and with such a sincere tone, she was at a loss for words. Then, as if she'd thought of something, she immediately regained her confidence. Cut the act. Do you really think you're my sister Zan-in-Zan-Law? Let me tell you. In his recent letters, my brother wrote that he met a woman and fell in love with her at first sight. He even mentioned it to our parents, and he is going to marry her as a wife of equal status when he returns. She looked at me, delighted and gloating, and Shen Qingguan, you didn't expect this, did you? Our parents have already agreed, and they've kept it quiet just to hide it from you, to act first, and report later once my brother is back. But so what if they told you? It is not like you could refuse, could you? She waited for me to turn pale with shock, completely devastated. But upon hearing this, I just frowned slightly. How could they do this? You didn't see that coming, did you? She lifted her chin, mocking. My brother doesn't like you at all. Maybe when the new sister Zan-in-Zan-Law comes back, you'll fall out of favor and he'll divorce you. But I was just dissatisfied. To be made a wife of equal status without a matchmaker or betrothal gifts. To disrespect the new bride so much. How could they do this? What did you say? Her words came to an abrupt halt, and after it registered, she looked at me in disbelief. What else is there to say? It is just marrying a wife of equal status. It is not a big deal. It is not that I could tolerate such humiliation, but that I simply didn't need to be the first one to get angry. Because the first one to get angry would definitely be that father Zan-in-Zan-Law of mine, who values face and propriety above all else. Even if he is on the same side as my stepmother, I am still a daughter of the Shen family. If Shen Jili really does this, it would be a harsh slap to his face, and it'd be a wonder if he didn't fly into a rage and have a falling out with the Shen family. And since it can both make that good Zen for Zen nothing, father of mine fly into a rage and make him and the Shen family fight like dogs. Why would I be angry? I couldn't be happier. It is a double blessing. It is just tough for that woman Shen Jili fancies, caught between two major families. I wonder how much crap she'll have to take. But I never would have thought that the first thing Shen Jili would say upon returning and seeing me would be, Yunqing is a good woman. I want to elevate her to be my Kozan wife. I looked up in disbelief. What did you say? Husband. When Shen Jili said this to me, his eyes couldn't help but show guilt. But thinking of the woman he fancies, he thought I was asking because I was jealous and couldn't tolerate others, and couldn't help but frown. Shen Qingguan, while it is true you've earned merit by serving my parents in my stead these 3 years, don't push your luck. Yunqing is the precious daughter of the general who pacifies the north. She can ride horses and slay enemies. Unlike a dull and uninteresting woman like you, I'm sure she won't fight you for the right to manage the household after she marries in. So can't the two of you just get along? He said that in this life, having just me and Yunqing would be enough for him. I've worked hard without complaint all these years, and he does indeed have some affection for me, but he also wanted me to be generous and not compete with Yunqing. After all, Yunqing is the girl he fancies the most. Who cares about that? I just want to ask, that Yunqing, General Han, does she know she is going to become a Kozan wife? Goodness, and to think I was previously feeling sorry that the woman Shen Jili fancies would be wronged. But now, I just look at Shen Jili with pity, only hoping he doesn't get beaten to death. But Shen Jili obviously didn't realize a disaster was about to befall him. When he mentioned Yunqing, a smile appeared in his eyes, and he said smugly, She doesn't know yet, this is a surprise I prepared for her. She must have been secretly admiring me for a long time. Otherwise she wouldn't have taken a detour to travel with me on the way back to Jinling. These days, I've been with her day and night, and I've come to feel more and more that she is the truly unrestrained, free Zan-spirited, bright and flamboyant one, unlike you well-Zan-bred ladies who are so conventional and rigid. He got more and more excited as he spoke, until he said that Yunqing would often stare at him intently, and when he caught her, she would even smile at him. Although her smile is a bit cold, but that is just because Yunqing doesn't understand a girl's tenderness. After all, she even agreed when I invited her to come over to my house for a visit. Shen Jili could never forget. That time they were talking while drunk, Han Yunqing had asked him with a hidden meaning. General Shen, you are already married. Are you still loving and affectionate towards your respected wife? He thought of me and gave a bitter smile. My wife is conventional, rigid, and utterly uninteresting. Oh, Han Yunqing raised an eyebrow. Shen Jili didn't notice that her gaze on him had turned cold, and continued. I originally thought that if I didn't meet a woman I fancied in this life, I would just muddle through my life with her, and that would be that. But he gazed infatuatedly at Han Yunqing, hesitating to speak. I really don't want to wrong the person I fancy. Then he probed, what about General Han? Then, dong, the wine cup landed on the tabletop, neither lightly nor heavily. Han Yunqing raised his eyes to look at him, the smile he revealed carrying a faint, bone-and chilling cold. I have always been protective of those I care about. If anyone dares to slight her in the least, I wouldn't mind twisting that scoundrel's head off. His tone was light and airy, and Shen Jili inexplicably felt a chill. But he didn't pay it much mind, just assuming Han Yunqing already thought so highly of him. Anyway, along this journey, he just felt they were one step away from breaking through that last layer of window paper, and that Yunqing was just shy and couldn't bring herself to tell him personally. Since that is the case, he would absolutely not disappoint her. When she comes in a little while, don't you give her a dirty look either. He warned me, afraid that I would throw a huge tantrum and do something disgraceful to Yunqing. But I suddenly felt the misunderstanding was a bit big, and I kind of wanted to explain. The daughter of the general who pacifies the north, how could she become someone's Kodzan equal wife? Even if Yunqing was willing, Uncle Han would beat Shen Jili to death. She is his only daughter. By right, it really shouldn't be. A trace of pity flashed in Shen Jili's eyes. But Yunqing has spent all these years on the battlefield fighting enemies, showing her face in public, and although she is different from other women and has achieved merits and fame, her reputation has ultimately been damaged. If that weren't the case, Yunqing wouldn't still be unmarried. However, I am not a narrow Zen-minded person. Although an equal wife is the best position I can give Yunqing. When she marries in, I will also marry her through a proper, formal ceremony, and will absolutely not wrong her. Wanning, you are so understanding, you will surely be on my side. Right. Those words sounded so deeply affectionate. But I laughed when I heard them, out of anger. He said he cherished Yunqing, that he wasn't a narrow Zen-minded person, but for all his nice words, in the end, wasn't he just making Yunqing an equal wife? I couldn't help but be furious, not for myself, nor for Shen Jili's faithlessness to me in wanting to marry an equal wife, but for Yunqing. For a woman as wonderful as her to actually suffer such humiliation. So my expression turned cold. Impossible. What? Shen Jili was stunned. He never thought I would say no, and so forcefully, after all. In his eyes, I was always a virtuous woman who obeyed her husband and followed the 3 obediences and 4 virtues, who would never get angry no matter what he said or did. But now, I looked at him with cold eyes. I said it is impossible. I will never allow you to bring her into this household, let alone marry her as an equal wife. The coldness of her attitude made even Shen Jili look surprised. Shen Qingquan. Are you crazy? He laughed in extreme anger. Originally, I thought you were virtuous and magnanimous, but I didn't expect that just because I showed you a little favoritism, you'd become so bossy and tyrannical. I was unmoved. Think whatever you want. But anyway, as long as I'm here, I will absolutely not agree. Shen Jili waved his hand. I don't need your permission to marry Yunqing. He was truly angry at my rebuttal, and even angrier that this was the first time I was so resolute. Yet it was to stop him from being with the woman he loved. His movement was so large that it ended up pushing me, who was standing not far across from him. I lost my balance, staggered 2 steps, and subconsciously started to fall backward. Shen Jili was stunned, panic flashed in his eyes, and he quickly reached out his hand, warning. He didn't catch me. But just at this moment, a hand from behind steadily supported me. Turning my head, A heroic Zan-looking woman in military attire and armor raised an eyebrow at me. Shen Qingquan, is this the piece of trash you married? Yunqing. It must have been 8 years since I last saw Yunqing. She had grown much taller, and from killing enemies on horseback at the border, her skin was a healthy wheat color. When her arm flexed, you could even see firm muscles and blue veins. As for why the blue veins were bulging, Yunqing, what are you doing here? Seeing I was okay, Shen Jili let out a sigh of relief. When he looked up and saw Yunqing, his eyes lit up with joy, a stark contrast to the high Zan and Zan mighty and guarded person he was with me. Then Yunqing raised his hand and punched him. Yunqing, why are you attacking me? Shen Jili was shocked and instinctively went on the defensive. But Yunqing's movements were too fast and aggressive, giving him absolutely no chance. He kicked him down and sneered. It is you I'm beating up. Crack, I heard the sound of a bone cracking, and Yunqing was already stepping on him, shielding me behind him, looking down from above, coldly watching Shen Jili's stunned expression. Word by word, Shen Jili, have I or have I not told you that I, Han Yunqing, am always protective of my own? If anyone dares to slight the person I care about in the slightest, I wouldn't mind twisting his head off. He widened his eyes, about to say something, when he saw Yunqing had already lifted her foot and was about to stomp down hard in the next second. Yunqing's foot, which had almost come down, paused. The woman in armor tilted her head, and both she and Shen Jili, who was lying on the ground, looked at me. I habitually hooked Yunqing's hand and shook it. No fighting. This was the move I used to coax her every time she got angry. The only daughter of General Zhenbei, she has always had a violent temper, and when she gets angry, no one can stop her. That is why anyone who dared to provoke her would at least suffer torn ligaments and broken bones, or at worst, end up half-Zan paralyzed. But no one knew that actually, Yunqing was very easy to coax. A crook of the finger and she'd stop being angry. Sure enough, noticing my action, her expression softened a bit. She retracted her foot but didn't seem very happy, asking stiffly, "You're persuading me for his sake?" As soon as these words were out, Shen Jili's gaze toward me held more gratitude and a bit of guilt. Then I was seen shaking my head like a rattled Zen drum. It is not. I looked at Yunqing. You've just returned to Jinling. Don't make enemies and displease His Majesty. That is not good for you. Shen Jili is, after all, the legitimate son of the Shen family, and he has even achieved merit. If you really beat him to death, even if His Majesty favors the Han family, it won't be easy to clean up the mess. Sure enough, as soon as I said this, Yunqing's expression improved a little. I let out a sigh of relief. As luck would have it, a scream rang out. I thought to myself, this is bad, but it was already too late. The Shen family's youngest sister watched this scene, stepped forward in shock and anger, pointed at me, her voice sharp and piercing. Shen Qingwan, you are so jealous, you resented my brother for wanting to marry a Kodzan wife. So you had someone hurt him, harming your husband. Do you realize this is one of the 7 grounds for divorce? My Shen family can divorce you. And this helper you found, my Shen family will never spare you. You jealous woman, you jealous woman. As her last words fell, I closed my eyes in deep helplessness. Immediately after, a Tan scream rang out. The Shen family's little sister was sent flying by a slap, and the foot that was originally above Shen Jili and about to be retracted ultimately stomped down. Crack, extremely crisp, a very thorough break. The Shen family was in chaos, utter chaos. The legitimate son who hadn't returned for 2 years had just come back, only to have 2 of his ribs forcefully broken, while the family's most pampered and spoiled youngest daughter was even slapped unconscious, her face swollen like a pig's head when she was helped up. Father and Mother Shen, who saw this scene, almost fainted on the spot. The reason they didn't faint was because this time, I was no longer cowering and being subservient before them as I used to be, but instead firmly stood on the side of the instigator. Eldest daughter Zan Law. What do you mean by this? Marquis Shen said sternly. Mother Shen was even more devoid of her usual gentleness, walking up to me. You Your husband and sister Zan-in-Zan-La are being beaten. Are your eyes blind or something? That you just stand there and watch. Where did all your past cleverness go, and you?" She pointed at Yunqing, arrogant and condescending. "Who are you? How dare you injure my son, not a man, not a woman? What a disgrace." I had already calmed down, didn't bow my head to apologize, nor did I act meek and submissive as usual. Instead, I raised a hand to stop Yunqing's move to teach Mother Shen a lesson for me, and stepped forward, lifting my gaze. "Mother Zan-in-Zan-La, this will be the last time I call you that. I, Shen Qingguan, since marrying into the Shen family, have been filial to my parents Zan-in-Zan-La, managed the household, and given my all, never once slacking off even a little. Even when Shen Jili repeatedly gave me the cold shoulder and my sister Zan-in-Zan-La treated me with scorn and sarcasm, I never once complained. Word by word, I laid bare all these family scandals they always avoided talking about. And I don't know how many pairs of ears from the surrounding neighbors had already perked up. But I didn't stop. I knew that from that moment on, I would no longer be the Shen family's daughter Zan-in-Zan-La. Being the Shen family's daughter Zan-in-Zan-La required being virtuous, gentle, respecting the elders, and protecting the young. But I couldn't do it anymore. She could criticize me, but she couldn't berate Yunqing. I had to scrape by under my stepmother's thumb and was used to enduring. But Yunqing guarded the border, with illustrious military achievements, and shouldn't be berated by such a decrepit old fossil. Mother Shen also seemed to have a bad feeling, stuttering. Are you saying that your husband, your sisters Zan-in-Zan-La, and we elders are the ones at fault? She wants me to shut up, a prestigious, powerful family. If I were to say it out now, then it would spread all over Jinling City today. And when that time comes, where is their Shen family going to put their face? But what does this have to do with me? My voice was steady, neither servile nor overbearing. I had originally thought that as long as I did so, even if you didn't like it, you wouldn't go so far as to disrespect me. But I never imagined that after marrying into the Shen family pure and blameless, without fault or wrongdoing, you would scheme behind my back to install a Kodzan wife of equal status. Such a tremendous shame and humiliation. Not even a daughter from any decent family could endure the slightest bit of it. So be it, Yi. I heaved a sigh of relief, and amidst everyone's incredulous gazes, threw down a letter. Since ancient times, there are 7 grounds to divorce a wife, and violating righteousness is one of them. Now, Shen Jili is insatiably greedy, never satisfied, and has disregarded moral principles. I, Shen Qingguan, can divorce him too. Gulp. The sound of someone swallowing their saliva was exceptionally clear in this silent night. You dare to divorce your husband. Marquis Shen stumbled back 2 steps, his eyes wide with fury. Since ancient times, only men have divorced their wives. When has a woman ever divorced her husband? This is simply shocking and unconventional. They never would have imagined that someone as rigid and conservative as me would actually make such an earth-shattering move. But I've wanted to do this for a long time. This letter of divorce, I had already written it when I found out Shen Jili was going to take a Kodzan wife. It was just a matter of taking it out sooner or later. Why not? How come your precious son can, but my Wanning can't? Yunqing said smugly, full of confidence. But Marquis Shen still hadn't recovered from the shock of the divorce, murmuring, "Disregarding moral principles. When did my son ever disregard moral principles? I suppose Marquis Shen doesn't know yet." Yunqing smiled even more smugly. "Wanning is in fact my sworn sister, and my name is Han Yunqing." Thud, the round fan in Mother Shen's hand fell to the ground in shock. She stared wide-eyed, as if she were a wooden person. They knew that Shen Jili was going to marry a Kodzan wife. They also knew that the woman was named Han Yunqing and was the only daughter of the general who guards the north. If it weren't for this, they would never have agreed. Even though they were extremely contemptuous of the fact that Yunqing, a woman, led troops into battle and showed her face in public. She was still the only daughter of the general who guards the north. If they married her, with the Han family having no sons, wouldn't everything belong to the Shen family in the future? Besides, once she was carried through the door, she would just obediently stay in the rear courtyard to bear sons and raise daughters, which was also acceptable. That is why they dared to go behind my back, planning to act first and report later with Shen Jili. But they didn't expect Shen's little sister to tell me first. Nor did they expect that Yunqing doesn't like Shen Jili at all. And they certainly had no idea I was actually General Zhenbei's adopted daughter. Yun's sworn sister, in that case for Shen Jili to want to make you, sister, an equal wife. What is that if not a disregard for moral principles? Don't listen, Scram, all of you get inside. Shut the door, shut it quick with such a huge scandal. She didn't know how she could face people if it got out, but it was already too late. Those who were supposed to hear had heard everything. I pulled Yunqing along as we walked out of the Shen mansion amidst the chaos, this residence where I had stayed for 3 years. On the way, he was frighteningly quiet. I asked, "Why aren't you talking?" My palms are all sweaty. Unlike Yunqing, I've been strictly controlled ever since I was little. My mother taught me how to be a good wife and loving mother. My father made me learn the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. And later, when my stepmother was in charge, I had to be even more careful and cautious, never doing anything out of line. But today I did it, and it is a huge deal that would cause an uproar in the entire world. I can even imagine, once the news gets out tomorrow, how furious the Shen family will be, how that father of mine will fly into a thunderous rage. The person I was pulling stopped, her voice a bit awkward. "I thought you were mad at me." "Why?" I didn't understand. She was half a head taller than me, shrugged her shoulders, but was as straightforward and frank as ever. "The moment I got here, I stepped on that good Zan for Zan. Nothing you married, slapped your sister Zan in Zan Law, and even talked back to your parents Zan in Zan Law." I burst out laughing. "It was obviously them who provoked you first. How could Yunqing possibly be at fault? Even if Yunqing really was at fault, don't Shen Jili and the Shen parents have any responsibility?" But Yunqing shook her head and seriously corrected. "It was you they provoked." She looked at me, a smile in her eyes, wanting, "You've grown up." I blushed a little, feeling embarrassed, and said modestly, "Not at all. Not at all. I wasn't a well-behaved girl to begin with. It is just that being in the inner residence, I had no choice but to pretend, that is all." "Then why have you stopped pretending now?" Yunqing asked me. I looked up at the moon in the sky, as if the final shackle had been cast off, laughing with abandon. "Because I've earned enough silver, I can leave. 3 years' time. Without the suppression from my father and stepmother. Lying low in this Shen family. I've finally earned enough silver to support myself. I have the confidence to leave, and I've long been prepared to leave. Hai Zan-born ladies, virtuous daughters Danin Zan Law, to hell with all of it." I waved my hand. "But you, how come I didn't know I've become Uncle Han's daughter?" Yunqing was happy to see me happy, and she was happy too. "I'm the one who made the call. At worst, you can just come with me to the borderlands, and when the time comes, you can just make up for it by kowtowing to him. Right, to the borderlands." She said she came this time specifically to pick me up. Originally, she took a detour to travel with Shen Jili, who was returning to Jinling, just to get a good look at whether Shen Jili was really good to me or not. If I was truly as happy as I said in my letters, then she would have just come back to see me and then left. But if what I said was a lie, then no matter what, she would take me away, either by begging the emperor or by exchanging her military merits for it. But it is easier said than done. And to actually leave, how could it be that easy? Yunqing took me to stay at the General of the Northern Pacifications Manor in Jinling. The next day, Jinling was in an uproar. Some said the eldest son of the Shen family wanted to take a Kodzan wife, and it was none other than the famously formidable female Rakshasa, the Han family's daughter. Others said that Han Yunqing was actually half Zan sisters, with the Shen family's eldest daughter Zanin Zan Law. and that the Shen family's actions this time were simply bullying people too much and disregarding moral principles. But what was even more shocking was that I, the Shen family's eldest daughter Zanin Zanla, the minister's daughter, the once famously virtuous daughter Zanin Zanla of Jinling, had actually divorced Shen Jili in front of everyone, and even eloped with the Han family's daughter. It was simply perverse and earth-shattering. For a time, Jingling was abuzz with discussion. And my father, the minister, was the first one to come knocking on the door, fuming with rage. He shouldn't have been able to get into the general's mansion, but no one stopped him. When he arrived, he happened to see me and Yunqing sitting peacefully in the courtyard. She was performing a sword dance for me, and I was peeling grapes for her. My old father's eyes were splitting with rage. You unfilial daughter. What have you done? It was all chaotic outside, but me and Yunqing, the people at the center of it, were perfectly peaceful. It is no wonder he was angry. The stepmother was at her side, adding fuel to the fire. Io, eldest miss, what kind of foolish things have you done? It is perfectly normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. As the main wife, how can you not have the magnanimity to tolerate others? Did Lady Wang not teach you this in the past? You actually dared to divorce your husband, and now all of Jinling is laughing at our family. It would have been fine if she hadn't said anything, but the moment she did, my dad immediately came forward, wanting to drag me back to Kowtow and apologize to the Shen family. You go kneel down and explain to the Shen family that you've gone mad, but you're all better now, and everything you said before was just crazy talk. If not, this old man will make you pay. But an old scoundrel like him could get close to me. He had just reached a hand toward me when Yunqing's sword had already slashed over. He couldn't dodge in time, and a bloody gash that was neither too deep nor too shallow appeared on his arm. Stepmother panicked. Eldest miss, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill your father? She was desperately trying to heap blame onto me, but I stood up and walked in front of her. Madam Shen, you are mistaken. A flash of smugness appeared in her eyes, revealing an I knew it expression. The next second, I slapped her twice. I not only kill my father, I also kill my mother. She cried out in pain and fell to the ground. I looked down on her, sneering. But you can't even be considered my mother, just a stepmother. It is not your place to lecture me. My dad clutched his arm, looking coldly at me and Yunqing. Miss Han, does General Zhenbei know you're acting so recklessly like this? Yunqing's sword was still pointed at him, her tone just as cold. Minister Shen, please address me as General. She was a 3rd Zan rank military official, serving in the same court as my dad. Neither was in the slightest bit inferior to the other. The things she wanted to do certainly didn't need General Zhenbei's permission. My dad choked, a flash of indignation in his eyes. The person he looked down on the most was this Yunqing as a woman. Instead of properly learning embroidery and needlework, she insisted on wielding blades and spears, going to the battlefield and competing for military honors, just like a man. Therefore, in his eyes, I was most likely corrupted by Yunqing, but he couldn't do anything to Yunqing, so he could only use his authority as a father to pressure me. Rebellious daughter, you still want to defy your father. Do you really want me to kick you out of the family? There is no need for father to go to this trouble. I was unmoved. Your daughter never planned on going back anyway. You don't love mother and you don't love me. The Shen family treats me poorly. Shenjili scorns and humiliates me. And you don't care. You only care whether I've satisfied the Shen family, whether I've shamed you. Even so then, father, I tilted my head up and looked him right in the eye. I'm not going back either. My dad's expression turned utterly hideous. I don't know if it was because I had torn apart his hypocrisy, or from the rage of being refuted. Good. Very good, but don't you forget. You're my daughter, and even in death, you belong to our Shen family. If you dare to leave your husband's family, I have the right to tie you up and drag you back, or report you to the authorities, or beat you to death, all without blame. For being so unfilial, you deserve to be drowned in a pond. As his words landed, my stepmother, who had been covering her face and sobbing, froze. and then became overjoyed. Yunqing was also in disbelief. Shen Xingzhe. Are you insane? She is your own daughter, and you want to drown her in a pond. An unfilial daughter must be killed to uphold the family's honor, my dad said, his expression unchanged. Otherwise, what face would our Shen family have left? I'm not afraid of Yunqing. All of this is permitted by the laws of our dynasty. I am merely handling a family matter. General Han, are you really going to interfere in this official's family affairs? Aren't you afraid that this official will report you before His Majesty? You really deserve to die. Even Yunqing, who had slaughtered countless people on the frontier and seen plenty of dirty things, was shocked by his cold Zen-blooded shamelessness. And me. I'm different, I'm already used to it. If father is going to be like this, then your daughter might as well take the evidence of how father seized the common people's farmlands, roped in other officials, and privately accepted bribes. Give it to Yunqing, and have him present it to His Majesty for a look. Since I've already prepared to break away from the Shen family, how could I possibly be unprepared? Isn't it just about tearing off all pretenses? Then let's see who is willing to go all out. As it turned out, my father couldn't go all out after all. He narrowed his eyes, looking me straight in the eye for the first time like he did my brothers. You're threatening me. What about the Shen family then? As I recall, you were utterly devoted to the Shen family's eldest son. You don't want him anymore either. My gaze was calm. Father, what you're saying is truly strange. I respect and honor him, and I would do so no matter who my husband is. But what does that have to do with loving him? Who would fall in love with a person who constantly belittles you, humiliates you, and wants to marry your own sister as an equal wife? A bumping sound came from outside the door, but everyone in the courtyard paid it no mind. My dad passed away, filled with pent-up frustration when he left. Because that stepmother of mine wanted to continue adding fuel to the fire. Eldest miss, as his daughter, how could you be so cruel to the master? This is truly monstrously unfilial. I cracked a smile. Mr. Shen, you'd better say less. Otherwise, if I get scared and blurt out how you've been using father's name to place your maternal relatives everywhere, and also hiding from father and my younger brother, the fact that you lost 20,000 taels in a gambling den, I'll have to say it all. My father suddenly looked at her, his eyes practically spitting fire. I imagine their days won't be too peaceful when they get back. I was very satisfied. When I turned my head, Yunqing was resting her chin on her hand, looking at me with a smile. I touched my face. Is there something on my face? She shook her head, her lips curling. You're really just like the old Shen Qingguan now. The old Shen Qingguan. That was probably back when I was 8 or 9. At that time, my father and stepmother weren't so strict with me, and they also wouldn't know that the rock Yunqing almost broke my younger brother's leg with was one I picked up. I laughed self-deprecatingly. The spineless Shen Qingguan I became later. Was she very unlikable? Yunqing still shook her head. Shen Qingguan is Shen Qingguan. She is likable no matter what. If they don't want you to be spineless, then they should just fight back against those who bully you, not act like a wimp and criticize you left and right. The sounds of crashing and banging from outside the door started up again. But still, no one paid any mind. I asked Yunqing, when are we going to the borderlands? She ate the grape I had peeled for her, looking out the door. Let's wait a little longer. 5 days later, His Majesty held a welcoming banquet. Shen Jili and Yunqing were naturally there, but what I didn't expect was that I was actually also on the list. I didn't understand, but Yunqing patted my shoulder. Since I came to pick you up, I never intended for you to leave in disgrace. Shen Qingguan, you ought to leave in splendor. On the day of the banquet, we ran into Shen Jili. His wounds were mostly healed, yet he looked much more dispirited. Even though as a man of merit he should have been in high spirits, when he saw Yunqing, he seemed to recall the pain on his body, and a look of avoidance flashed in his eyes. He has really fallen out of love. Come to think of it, he said. He liked unrestrained and freed Zan-spirited women. but he never thought an unrestrained and Friedan-spirited woman would hit people. When you look at it that way, a gentle and considerate woman is still more heart-warming. So he said to me, Wanning, I regret it. It was my fault before. I didn't know you suffered so many grievances because of me. And even less did I know that without you, I would be so restless. You don't know, ever since you left the Shen family, my several sisters' daughters-in-law started making a fuss. Every day they'd make a scene in front of Mother demanding the right to manage the household. But every single one of them caused a disaster. The second sister daughters-in-law, who made the biggest fuss, bought yuans and fresh dead fish to save money. And both father and mother got an upset stomach and were bedridden for several days. While the extra silver was all the more she spoke, the more agitated she became, and the more she felt that she had mistaken a fish's eye for a pearl in the past. Wanning, I know you're mad at me, but now I know I was wrong. I won't hold it against you that you wrote me a letter of divorce. So let's call it even. You come back and we'll be just like before, how about it? You tone. What bullshit are you talking? Yunqing's brows furrowed as she listened, clenching her fists, wanting to throw a punch. I grabbed her fist, looked at Shen Jili, and said calmly, Not good. Shen Jili was stunned. He thought it would be very easy after admitting his mistake. The eldest son of the Shen family had never been so humble to anyone. What could I still be dissatisfied with? But I really am very dissatisfied. Shen Jili, you've said so much that they will all live miserably. Then what about you? Me. Shen Jili was confused. You were the one who started treating me badly. You were also the one who humiliated me. And yet you're fine. Where is your retribution? Also, I have a feud with the Shen family, so I'm naturally happy that they're not doing well. But you, why are you also using this as a bargaining chip and a talking point? You're their son and older brother. With every sentence I spoke, his face turned a shade paler. Shen Jili, you've always been so selfish. Going back to the past with you would be a nightmare for me. I pulled Yunqing and walked forward. He just snapped out of it. No, Wanning, I can change. You can't leave, you are my wife. You've always been my wife. It is her, right? He pointed at Yunqing, furiously. She herself is rebellious and unorthodox, so she wants to bewitch you into joining her. She has bad intentions, you can't trust her. Slap, he was slapped viciously. I did it, my gaze was ice-cold. Shen Jili, try saying one more word about Yunqing. Shen Jili's head was knocked aside by the slap. He was in disbelief, just in time to see the smugly humming and smiling expression of Yunqing standing behind me. He gritted his teeth. You can't leave. Wanning, I understand now. The person I love is you. Even if I have to use some tricks, I won't let you leave. Today at the victory banquet, His Majesty will be rewarding meritorious deeds. And I will ask His Majesty to grant you an imperial title. So everyone will know that you are my, Shen Jili's, wife, and you'll be the general's wife in all glory. It was as if I was seeing him for the first time. Looking at his incorrigible state, I said in disgust. You're insane. I didn't stop Yunqing again and let her beat him up once more. That being said, as I sat at the victory banquet, I was restless and uneasy. I didn't want Yunqing to worry, and I also comforted myself. Shen Jili is selfish and self-serving. When being rewarded for his merits, he would naturally want a promotion and a higher title. How could he possibly use this great opportunity to ask for an imperial title for me? More importantly, if I were really granted an imperial title, then my life and death would truly be tied to the Shen family. On the high platform, the emperor's voice was hearty and clear. In the border war, you all have merits for defending your posts. Now that the realm is at peace, we shall naturally reward merits. My dear ministers, you may all speak freely, no need to be reserved. The people who were called upon naturally declined in trepidation. We wouldn't dare. Only Shen Jili suddenly knelt down. Your Majesty, I abruptly clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Your Majesty. A brighter voice exploded in my ears. I stared in astonishment at the kneeling Yunqing. She looked straight ahead and spoke without the slightest hesitation. This subject has one wish, and I am willing to stake all my past military achievements on it, to beg your majesty to grant it. Her voice resounded all around. Interrupted. Shenjili said indignantly. Han Yunqing, what do you think you're doing? Are you trying to jump in and get an imperial title for Wan Ning? She is your sworn sister, not your wife. Yunqing ignored him and repeated, I implore your majesty to grant my wish. The emperor raised his eyebrows, a trace of interest flashing through his eyes. In Jinling City, the affair between the Shen family, and the Han family was causing a huge uproar, and the emperor couldn't possibly not have known. But he was happy to watch the show, and was even intentionally giving the Shen family the cold shoulder. After all, no matter how powerful the Han family was, they only had one daughter, Yunqing, and wouldn't be able to outshine the sovereign, but the Shen family were a different, beloved minister. Let's hear it. Yunqing. I subconsciously wanted to pull her sleeve, but Yunqing had already started speaking. Your subject's father has only had me, his one daughter, in his lifetime. When I was young, because I was mischievous, I had no playmates. It was my adoptive sister, Wan Ning, who did not look down on me, protected me at every turn, and never left my side. And for that reason my father recognized Wan Ning as his adoptive daughter. But in all these years, my father and I have been far away at the borderlands, truly unable to give her even the slightest bit of care. As fate would have it, my adoptive sister married into the Shen family and suffered endless torment, a fact known to everyone in Jinling City. She is kind, hearted, and benevolent by nature. She truly should not have met. Her voice was crystal clear, resounding, and forceful, and every single word struck the hearts of everyone present. Shenjili was dumbfounded, and my dad couldn't help but slam the table too. Her biological father is right here, so why go to the borderlands? What filial duty is there to fulfill? That Yunqing laughed even more coldly upon hearing this. Oh, so Lord Shen does know he is Wanning's father. Then may I ask, when Wanning was suffering all kinds of humiliation in the Shen family, where were you? You, my dad choked, gritting his teeth. As a wife, the 3 obediences and 4 virtues are what is expected of her. Then as a daughter, showing filial piety is also what is expected of her. You're just being an unreasonable pest. He still wanted to say something, but the Son of Heaven didn't want him to speak anymore, and stared fixedly at Yunqing. Is this your wish? Or the wish of the general who pacifies the North? You only want this, and nothing else. You have to know, the Han family has glorious military achievements, and if they really asked for something, it would be hard for the Son of Heaven to refuse. If the title of a county mistress could write off all those military merits, it would be no different from a pie falling from the sky. Yunqing lowered his head. This subject and my father both share this wish. Your Majesty. Shenjili wanted to speak, but the Son of Heaven had already slammed the table happily. Good, we shall grant your wish. Minister Han is eager in his love for his daughter, so we shall also fulfill her wishes. We hereby enfief off Wan Ning of the Shen family as County Mistress Jianing to enjoy a stipend. And she will soon follow the Han family's army back to the border to visit her father, to fulfill her filial duty. A monarch does not jest, and there was no room to take it back. My dad was stunned on the spot, and Shenjili slumped to the ground dejectedly. Yunqing pulled me, and we kowtowed together. Thank you for your Majesty's grace. Just as Yunqing had said, I really went to the border in great splendor. The criticisms I originally bore, under the title of County Mistress Jianing, dissipated into mist and smoke. The border was very harsh, but Uncle Han and Yunqing were here. I kowtowed to Uncle Han, and the sturdy man laughed heartily. Excellent, excellent. This general has another daughter. That Shen Xingja doesn't know what is good for him. Just wait for him to regret it in the future. But I heard he was recently impeached for corruption and taking bribes. I guess there is nothing good waiting for him. The Shen family is in total chaos. I heard that Shenjili was helping his younger siblings wipe their asses and bending the law for personal gain, and was also held accountable. Truly, 3 joyous occasions arriving at once. He was overjoyed and suddenly caught sight of the jade pendant on my waist. His eyes widened. Isn't this the item my Han family has for its future daughter Zanin Zanla? He narrowed his eyes and yelled at the top of his lungs. You little bastard. Why are you giving things away, Willie Zanili? Yun Qing was sharpening her sword and getting annoyed. She also yelled at the top of her lungs. You old man. I'm your only daughter. Do you even have a daughter, Zanin Zanla? So I can't give it away. Anyway, you're never going to have a daughter, Zanin Zanla, in this life, so I might as well give it to Wan Ning. At least it looks good on her. Such a plain and simple reason. Seeing this, I smiled softly, tears flowing from the corners of my eyes. I know, those are tears of happiness. End of full text.